Good morning or good afternoon, First Farmers. Today's topic, like I said last week or last video, pertains to the Constitution of St. Martin. I talked about the first, the second, the third, and the fourth chapters, a description of what's in those chapters in the Constitution. So we're going to talk a little bit about Chapter 5. Now, Chapter 5 of the St. Martin Constitution, it talks about the function and the creation of the Advisory Council, the General Audit Chamber, and the Ombudsman. Now, these are three institutions that are not part of government. They are independent. So the Advisory Council, or the Council of Advice, it gives advice to the government of St. Martin about laws, legislation. Now, the General Audit Chamber, they examine how the government spends its money. And the word examine is another word for it is audit. Therefore, it's called the General Audit Chamber. And then the Ombudsman, if someone has a complaint against the government of St. Martin, that person can go to an individual who is called the Ombudsman. And the Ombudsman will investigate the complaint and attempt to solve the complaint that the individual is making against the government of St. Martin. So that's Chapter 5. Chapter 6 talks about legislation and administration of this country. So, for example, it talks about the laws that governs the Kingdom Charter. It talks about Kingdom Acts. It talks about what governments can do, for example, in terms of implementing a law, implementing what you call ordinances, which is something similar to laws. It talks about what they can do when it comes to issuing a national decree for a measure or measures. It talks about holding referendums, and what's a referendum is when people vote on an issue. So, that's what that chapter deals with. And then the last one for today, because I'll talk about chapters 8 and 9 in another video. Chapter 7 talks about the courts in the Dutch Kingdom and about the Attorney General, how their office function, and the public prosecutor, how they will be appointed, and all those things. But interesting, the courts. Now, the court system, it talks about the function and the creation of different courts in our system. For example, the first court, the lowest court, the court of first instance, that's where murder cases, rapes, embezzlement, which is a fancy word for stealing, those are examples of cases that are heard by the court of first instance. And you have another court, which is higher, that's called the appeals court. Now, if you're convicted of a crime in a court of appeals or in a court of first instance, you want to overturn your conviction, you are not happy, so you take it to the appeals court. And then, if you lose your case in the appeals court, you go to the highest court in the Dutch Kingdom, which is the Supreme Court, which is based in the Netherlands. The appeals court is in Curaçao. The court of first instance is in St. Martin. So, those are examples of what's in that chapter. Now, next time, next video, preceding video, we talk about chapters 8 and 9 of the St. Martin's Constitution. Thank you for your time.